Mysterious extra feet in somebody's picture, and a woman who just lost a son had someone comfort her that you will not believe. We have some crazy stories this week. Another week, another weird and creepy compilation. In case you missed it, here's a roundup of all the stories and videos I shared on all my other socials this week. Sit back, grab a snack, and let's get weird! Did this person catch a glitch in the Matrix where her horses were literally frozen in time?
Okay, actively raining. My horses are frozen in time. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? What is happening? There is shelter. There is shelter. But I think they're frozen. This is so weird, you guys. It's so weird. I mean, the goats, they're smart over there. What is happening? No one is moving. What?
This person had someone comfort her after the loss of her son, but you will not believe who it was. You have to watch.
Do you believe in ghosts or angels? Let me tell you about an encounter I had. I was 8 months pregnant with my son when he passed away. And I ended up having to go to the hospital to have an emergency C-section. And while I was in the holding room before you go in for surgery, a woman approached wearing brown corduroy pants and a flowered print blouse. And she began talking to me, asking if I was doing okay considering the situation, explained what the surgery was going to be like, and started going through my medical records. I thought she was a social worker or a chaplain volunteer or something. She wasn't wearing scrubs, so I didn't think she was a nurse or a doctor. She was just wearing civilian clothes. I went in for surgery, and when I came out, I woke up and I see her standing there flipping through my paperwork. I started coughing. She immediately turned around, grabbed a pillow, put it across my stomach, and pushed down on my stomach because the pain was excruciating. And she said whenever I had to cough, make sure I put a pillow across my stomach and held it tight because it would make it feel better. I remember I asked her if I still had my uterus, and she said I did. And she continued to just talk to me about the loss of my son. Another nurse came up, asked if I was okay, or a nurse came up and asked if I was okay. And I said yes, considering the situation, I was doing okay. And she said it was very smart of me to put the pillow on my stomach. And I was like, do you not see this chick standing here? The nurse went away. And I looked at the lady, I said, I don't know your name. And she said, my name's Ever. I said, oh, that's a pretty name. It's unusual. I've never heard anybody named Ever before. That's pretty cool. So we continued talking about my son. They went to bring me back up to my room, and she followed with me, and then she got confused in the mess of people that were up there, and I didn't see her again. It was the next day I was in the room alone with my in-laws, and Ever walked in. And I woke up because I was sleeping. I woke up to her rubbing my feet. And I said, Ever, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming to visit me. I could tell she had tears in her eyes, and I asked her what was wrong, and she said that she had been in the hospital 11 weeks prior and had a baby, but the baby was having problems, not surviving, but thriving, I guess you could say. So she had been in and out of the hospital for 11 weeks dealing with her own baby. And she just said, you are so strong. I can't believe how strong you're being through this. And I said, well, you kind of don't have a choice. You know, it's either break down hysterically or stay strong. She started crying. I called her over to me, and we ended up hugging for a long time. She ended up leaving, and that was the last I saw of her. So after I got out of the hospital, I ended up doing a stint in ICU for blood clots. But when I got out, I kept thinking about Ever. So I painted a wine glass for her that had a heart with 2 angel wings on it with her name at the top. It just said Ever. I also had a pair of angel wing earrings. And I brought them to the hospital, and I went up to labor and delivery, And they said that they didn't know anybody by the name of Ever. And I said, okay, maybe she was a chaplain volunteer. So I go to the chapel. They didn't have any volunteers by the name of Ever. Went to social services. No one by the name of Ever worked there. So I take my butt to HR. Because I was like, I know there's a woman named Ever that works here. I go to HR and they check and they said, we have no employees or volunteers that work here by the name of Ever. Now I'm pissed because I know I'm not crazy and I'm not losing my mind. So I go back up to labor and delivery and I'm like, listen, her name is Ever. She had a baby 11 weeks ago. They've been trying to keep the baby alive for 11 weeks. She comes here all the time. And she helped me when my son passed. Now you have to know who she is. Both the nurses got really quiet and there was an older nurse there. Comes around the corner of the nurse's station and grabs me by the arm and says, walk with me. We walk down the hallway and around the corner and she looks at me and she goes, honey, I know who Ever is. And I was like, oh, thank God someone finally knows who Ever is. She said, honey, Ever was here 11 weeks ago and did have a baby, but she didn't make it through childbirth. She passed away. I could feel the blood drain from my body. I said, what do you mean she passed away? She was here. This is what she looked like. She said, yes. She goes, you're describing her perfectly. She goes, I think Ever came to you because of the trauma that you were going through with the loss of your son. But Ever passed away 11 weeks ago. So I went home and I took the glass that I had made for her and put it in my kitchen window. And I just sat there thinking about it. And I called my in-laws because I know my in-laws were there. I said, do you remember her? And she goes, honey, we thought you were just high on morphine because you were talking to someone, but there was no one there. Oh my God. So I ended up taking the candle or the candle holder, the glass that I had painted, and where it said Ever, I put 4. So I would always remember that it was forever and just kept that as a memory. It took me weeks to realize that I had painted forever an angel in my heart. It blew my mind. I'm devastated because the glass ended up breaking when I was going through a divorce and moving my stuff. I broke the glass, which devastated me, and I lost the earring somewhere along the way. But that's my story of Ever, the spirit that came to visit me when my son passed away.
Did this person catch an interdimensional being on camera? This is actually really great footage. Let me know if you think it's legit or if you think it's something else. Tell me in the comments.
This is so fascinating that it's going to leave a lot of people speechless. This is absolutely amazing. Spirits, where is everybody? Spirits, interdimensionals. Spirits, interdimensionals. This one's unique, everybody. Hello. Boy, you're different. I haven't seen you. I don't think I've ever seen you. My God, he's turning blue. He turned blue. How is you? Stay with me, buddy. Dogs know something's up. Oh my God, he turned blue again. That's wild. Oh, there you are. Boy, you keep coming back. Stay with me, buddy. Oh my God,
This person had a glitch in the Matrix where they went through a portal in their own neighborhood, which is so crazy. You need to hear this. Let me know what you think.
Hi, good morning. But and I'm mainly saying that because it's not even noontime here yet. I want to tell a story, and it's a pretty wild story. There's only one person that has ever heard this story, and it's my roommate, my best friend that I live with. And first of all, if you didn't see the video, we went and saw Sinners yesterday, and that was just mind-blowingly amazing. And I love the lore that Ryan Coogler made for that movie, and the fact that that Sammy's music, pierced the veil, ripped the veil, and caused the past and the future and all that to come together. And I guess maybe that's why I've decided to tell this story, because it's wild, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's wild. So, if you don't know, I moved to Florida last year in June because I really needed to get out of Mississippi for my own self, for my own mental health. I needed to get out of Mississippi. And I had the blessing of my kids and my parents to do so, and that's what I did. I moved down here to the Space Coast in Florida. So I don't think I'd even been here a full complete month last year when this happened, and I've never said this out loud to anybody except for my best friend, who is my roommate, my housemate, because it's so wild. So I was still at the time using my GPS to get around, to get to work, to get home, because I wasn't comfortable enough yet to do it without it. That's the crazy thing. So, make a long story short, I was coming home from work one day. I had probably been at my job at that time maybe 3 weeks, roughly, maybe. I don't even think I'd been here a month. I got here, and I think I had maybe like a week and a half to myself before I started that job. And so it was roughly probably about a month after I'd been here, right? So I'm on my way home. I'm still using my GPS because I'm still not comfortable with it. Anyway, so I know I turn on the right street to come into the neighborhood where I live. And when you get to the front of our neighborhood, it's a 3-way, not a 4-way stop, because the road that leads you into my neighborhood dead ends into a street. You either have to turn left or right. You cannot go straight because there's a house right there. And absolutely love that house because the people that live in that house, don't know them, but they always have some kind of flag flying, decorations, whatever, and they usually have a some form of LGBTQIA plus flag hanging in their yard. And I always love seeing what they've got decoration wise, because a lot of people in the neighborhood decorate. Anyway, I digress. So I get to the end of that road, and we have to turn left to go a couple of streets over to get to our home. So I'm at the end. I turn left, right? I turn left, and then I'm looking for the street that I'm supposed to turn on to get to the house, and I'm like, where's the street? What's going on? So I was like, well, when in doubt, this is something I learned a long time ago. When in doubt, just keep turning left, and you'll get back to like a main road, and you can figure out where you were. So that's what I began to do, right? I was like, turn left, and I'm like, this does not look familiar to me at all. Like, the houses didn't look like the houses that are around our home. And I'm like, where am I? This is not right. I know I turned on the right street to turn into the community because it dead ends and you have to turn left. I know I did that. So I turned left and I'm like going, this doesn't look familiar to me at all. And then I go over this little mini bridge that has water on it because our community and the community next to ours are separated by a canal because I live on a barrier island. And I go up and I was like, I've never seen this bridge before. Where am I? How did I get here? So I turned left again, and then I turned left again, and I wind up coming back out on the main road that I live, somewhat off of. And I'm like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And so I get up to the light and I turn left. I am in the next community over from the community that I live in. And you cannot get from my community to the community next to mine because there is a canal that separates us. Remember, I know that I drove down the road that leads into my community to turn left. I remember doing that. How I got into the community next to me, can you say glitch in the matrix, wormhole, portal? I don't know. But there was definitely some kind of a glitch because how I got into that community next to mine, there's no way I could have driven over into it because there is a canal that separates it with no bridge over. So I turned back on the main road and I literally come back down and turn down the road to get into my community again. And I'm like, how did this happen? Anyway, second time's a charm, and I come straight to the house. and when she gets home, I flat out tell her because, that's just something, you can't keep something like that to yourself because it's so freaking weird. And it freaked her out. She's like, I don't understand how you did that. And I said, I don't understand how I did that either, but all I'm telling you is I turned down that road and I turned left to come home, and somehow I wound up over there. And she's like, there's no way you could have done that because there's a canal. And I said, I know that. So tell me how I did that. Glitch in the matrix, anybody? So when I tell you that I believe firmly that whether you want to call it glitches in the matrix, portals, wormholes, whatever, when I tell you that there's more out there, and there's more in here, it's real. And you can't tell me any different because I've literally experienced it myself. Because there's no way I could have gotten from my community that I live in into the one next to ours because there is a canal that separates us with no bridge over. You literally have to go back out to the main road and turn and go down to another light to get into that community. So when I tell you that glitches in the matrix, portals, wormholes, whatever, piercing the veil, ripping the veil, it's all real, y'all. Thanks for coming to my weird TED Talk. Have a good day.
Some people are saying this is an angel in the sky. Some people are saying it's a supernova explosion. Some people are saying aliens. I don't know what I think it is, but I don't know what a supernova explosion is or if it's even visible in our sky from wherever it's happening. But I would love to know what you think it is. Which one of those three things, or do you have a different view, a different opinion completely? Please let me know. These pictures really freak me out. There's something so creepy in them. I don't understand how it got there. I need to hear your opinions on this one. This person saw an accident that literally disappeared in front of her eyes, and she's flabbergasted, and rightfully so. Please watch this. Let me know what you think.
I have a story that I told on here back in October, and up until recently, my husband and I have always considered it to be a paranormal event with no explanations. It freaked my husband out so much that he doesn't even like discussing it or talking about it. And when I bring it up, he just tries to shut down the conversation really quickly because it bothers him a lot about what happened. Been going down these rabbit holes, and now I don't think it's so much paranormal as possibly a glitch in the matrix. Now, one of the things that I found while going down the glitch in the matrix rabbit hole is that people have trouble remembering certain details, and we cannot pinpoint the year that this happened. What I mean is, it could have happened in 2013, 14, or 15. I know what happened in August because of the research that I was doing on it, thinking it was paranormal. It was in August, but every August for those 3 years made it strange. Like, other things aren't adding up. I don't know how to explain it without going to a really, really long video. But I want to say it had to have been 2013, possibly 14, but probably 13. My husband and I were coming back from St. Joe, Missouri on Highway 36 towards Hiawatha. And we were between Wathena and Troy. So if you know the area, you know what I'm talking about. There's a curve. And up on the north side is this great big like mansion house. On the left side is a picnic area and a big old stone railroad bridge. And there's also a cross there with some memorial flowers where people had passed away. There's a little bit of a hill. And as we're going up the hill, I'm looking down at my phone. And I looked up just in time. My husband and I both gasped. Right in front of us was this giant cloud of smoke. You could see the orange flicker of fire in the middle of the smoke. My husband slammed on the brakes, and I reached down to pull my shoes on really quick. And when I came back up, everything was gone. Let me break it down a little bit more for you. You know how your brain can think really quickly in a split second? So in that moment, my brain went through a million different scenarios, and I was pretty positive that where is my brush? I was pretty positive that I had just witnessed a head-on collision. We didn't see the collision. It was just, we saw the explosion and the cars exploded. And because you could see thick smoke covered the entire, both lanes of this two-lane highway. And you could see the glow of the fire in the middle of the smoke. And there was cars all around us. There was a car in front of us and a car behind us. When we pulled over to the side of the road, the car in front of us pulled over to the side of the road. The car behind us pulled over to the side of the road. We're all just sitting there, and everything was just gone. It was just clear. There was no oncoming traffic. There was no other cars behind us anymore. Just the one in front of us and the one behind us that pulled over, and that was it. We were all just sitting there. And I was for sure that I needed to get my shoes on because we were going to have to go pull bodies out of a car or something. Like, there was a head-on collision right in front of us. Like I said, you couldn't see any vehicles because the smoke and the fire, but then it was just gone. I remember us just sitting there in silence and disbelief, and I could see the guy in front of us in his rearview mirror, like looking up back at us and kind of turning around and looking around, looking bewildered. And I looked back at the guy behind us, and he put his window down and kind of hung his head out a little bit. And I remember my husband kind of did the same, and we're looking around, and we're just confused. The guy behind us pulls out, drives real slow past us, looks at us. He looks completely bewildered. Like, he saw the same thing we did, and then it just vanished, and so he was confused. And then the guy in front of us took off, and then we took off. And we got down it took a little bit before we actually said anything to each other. And I looked at my husband, I was like, you literally saw what I just saw, right? And he goes, I think. And I said, tell me exactly what you just saw. And he described the same thing that I saw, that it was just a giant crash in front of us. Like I said, we did not see any cars crash. It was just suddenly at the crest of this hill, this great big explosion, and it was just smoke and fire. And then there was nothing. So like I said, I know this was August because there is that memorial on the side of the road where some people had an accident and passed away. And so I was researching that, thinking that this was like one of those reoccurring instances that happens in time of something traumatic that happened. And that accident happened in August. And I couldn't find the exact date because all the articles I was finding was on the state of the drunk driver that hit them and killed them all, and his court dates and stuff like that. But I could not find an exact date of the accident, but I just know that it was in August, and it was August. So I was like, well, that kind of correlates that it's currently August and that happened in August. So maybe it's replaying that memory in time. But recently I've been going down these glitch in the matrix rabbit holes, and now I'm starting to go back and remember things from my past and starting to wonder if those were glitches, like this incident. What if we were the accident and it was a glitch in the matrix? We talk about quantum immortality, and something traumatic happens and you jump into another timeline. So what if we were the accident and we didn't make it, and suddenly because it all happened so fast, neither of us actually remember pulling over to the side of the road. It was just like big giant accident, lots of smoke, lots of fire. We're sitting on the side of the road and everything's completely clear. Like there wasn't even dust in the air. Because I thought, what if it was actually just somebody went off the side of the road and hit like the gravel and kicked up dust? But this was a lot of dust, if that was true. Plus you could see the orange glow. So what if it was us and we switched timelines through quantum immortality? And that's why we can't remember the exact year that it happened. Because I'm usually pretty good at remembering timelines because I'm able to correlate that with other things that happened. And I can't pinpoint it down on the year. I'm so confused, but fascinated and intrigued. So please, 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 tell me what you think. And I'm going to tag Auntie Matrix in this too, because I know she likes these stories, and maybe they can get me some insight on this. What do you think? Did I switch timelines? Did we not make it? Was that our accident? Did we not make it? Or was it some other accident and we, instead of pulling over the side of the road, ran into the accident because we didn't get to stop in time and we just didn't make it? Let me know.
That concludes our creepy compilation for today. If you like videos like this, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. But if you want to keep it going right now, you can check out this video or this playlist.